This is Royce Towns, ruminant nutritionist with Tennessee Farmers Co-op. Over the next few minutes, we're going to talk about minerals and some of the products that we have for beef cattle. In Tennessee, the base of nutrition for our beef cattle herd comes from the forages that we have, and that's mostly Kentucky 31 fescue. We have to understand that Kentucky 31 fescue is deficient in some minerals at certain times of the year, and at no point would it be considered to be 100% of all the mineral needs that the cattle have throughout their year and their requirement. We also have to understand that cattle themselves have requirements for different minerals. Along with the microbes that are there in their rumens, they also have requirements. And we also have to understand that the nutritional value of the forage can vary as we go throughout the year. So while it might be sufficient and meet the requirements at certain times, at other times it doesn't. So that's why we feed minerals and supplement minerals for beef cattle. The basis for supplementing minerals is because the soil supply, it all starts with the soil supply, because the soil supply is limited of certain minerals. That means that the forages that grow on those soils also are limited in certain minerals. We supplement to make sure that we cover those deficiencies. That benefits us from the standpoint of fetal growth. We provide the minerals that are necessary for that young developing animal inside the mother. Once it's born, those minerals also help supplement milk production and make sure she's producing good quality milk at the highest levels. And also it plays a role in the immune function in the animal, making sure that they're able to respond to and develop immunity against the things that they're up against. A good example of why minerals are important is when we look at something that's very easily seen. Grass tetany or a magnesium deficiency is a very obvious mineral deficiency. It happens when we have cool soil with very fast growth of the forage. The animal becomes deficient and they go down immediately. That's not the case with most of the minerals. Most of the minerals do have some storage in the body. While they're needed on a daily basis, they don't have to be supplemented on a daily basis. The effects aren't as obvious for most minerals. Use this as an example though, because all minerals are as important as magnesium. It's just that you don't see the signs as quickly or as drastically as you do with a magnesium deficiency. There are a whole host of minerals that are required by the body. They're usually broken down into two categories, macro and micro minerals. We won't spend the time to go into the 20 plus minerals that are required, but I do want to talk just a minute about what I consider to be the top 5 or the 5 most important. And the first one of those would be phosphorus. Phosphorus has more known functions in the body than any other mineral that is required. It's needed for energy utilization, which is extremely important. It's referred to sometimes as the fertility mineral because some of the early research showed that phosphorus supplementation to grazing cattle improved their reproductive ability. We also need to understand that phosphorus is expensive. We have to supplement it strategically, meaning that we want to provide exactly what the animal needs without overfeeding it. When we do overfeed it, there's no additive effect, and you're spending a lot of money for that animal to excrete that extra mineral out through the feces or the urine. The next most important will probably be copper. Any deficiency in copper causes delayed puberty and poor fertility in beef cattle. And of course, reproduction is extremely important for beef cattle if we're intending to make a profit with them. The UT Mineral Survey that was done about 10 years ago now showed that most Tennessee soils are deficient in copper. Some more than others, but just about every county is deficient to some point. And we also found that sulfur, which is an antagonist to copper, it binds it up, can be high in several places in the state. So we need to be supplementing copper and at a level that would compensate for any sulfur that is there. Zinc would be the third one. Anytime we're talking about reproduction, it takes 2, so there's also a bull involved. Zinc affects testicular development in the bull, and any deficiency in zinc can cause reduced sperm production, delayed maturation of the sperm, all resulting in a loss of reproductive efficiency in pregnancies. Zinc also plays a role in the immune system. So anytime we're vaccinating animals, if they are in a trace mineral deficiency and zinc is deficient, we can't expect their immune system to respond like it would if their requirements were being met. Manganese, also important for energy metabolism. When we have a deficiency in manganese, we have females that don't show heat. If they do show heat and breed, we have a decreased conception rate. If they do get bred, we see an increase in the abortion rate. So lots of things that come into play there when magnesium is deficient. So, and the last one I want to mention is selenium. Selenium interacts with vitamin E. Any deficiency in selenium, we usually see a significantly reduced fertility in the cattle. So here in the southeast, if you're east of the Mississippi River, you can just assume that your soils are going to be deficient in selenium and that it needs to be supplemented in the diet. When it's not there, we see things like retained placentas, and in the males, we see reduced sperm production and reduced sperm motility. Now, we talk about minerals, and we even refer to the products as minerals, but we also need to note that vitamins play an important role as well. They always go in conjunction with minerals, and a lot of them interact with minerals. We think about those as vitamin A, which is necessary for vision and growth. The B-complex vitamins, B12, thiamine, those type things. Actually, we don't have to worry about them in a ruminant animal because they're synthesized in the rumen. So we typically do not supplement those. Vitamin D and vitamin E, we do supplement, and vitamin K is another one that is produced by microbial synthesis. So how do we determine the value of a mineral supplement? When we look at products to supplement our cattle, we can look at the price per bag, and we can look at tags and make comparisons. But we need to look at a few other things just to make sure we're making a valid comparison. When we talk about the value of a mineral supplement, we want to look at three things. Number one, the content or the percent or parts per millions of each mineral component. You'll find that on the tag. The feeding rate. The rate plays a role in how much they get. It doesn't matter what the percentage is if they don't eat enough of that particular mineral. And then finally, the source of the mineral, meaning the bioavailability. Inorganic sources of mineral tend to be slightly less available to the animal than organic sources, but of course the organic sources will cost more. All of those play a role in determining the value of a mineral supplement. When you look at the tag, starting at the top there, you'll see the name of the mineral and its intended use. Then you have the guaranteed analysis, which is all of the individual mineral elements there, along with the percentage or parts per million or IUs per day. The third box there shows the ingredients. That's where you would look to see the source, whether they're coming from inorganic or organic sources. And then finally, the feeding directions, which will give you the estimated or predicted intake of that particular mineral. So with that information, then, you can make a valid comparison between products in our line and our products versus the competition. When we think about feeding our minerals, it's always a good suggestion to make sure that the minerals are protected, fed somewhere out of the weather. There's a lot of hype out on the market now about wind and rain type minerals that are weatherproof. But what it all amounts to is if you're going to invest the time and the money into providing a mineral product for your animals, it does need to be protected. And regardless of which method you use, there are a number of mineral feeders that we manufacture and carry and sell. They can even make their own. And worst case scenario, put it somewhere in the hallway of the barn just to get it out of the weather. And that way you can be assured that they're getting good quality minerals that haven't been leached out by sunshine, temperature, humidity, moisture. All are detrimental to some of the vitamins and minerals. With any mineral, there is a predicted level of intake, and that's pretty easy to determine. A lot of people feed mineral and they say they're eating too much or too little. You can help them determine how much that is with just a simple calculation. What we're looking at is how many pounds, how many cows, and how many days did it take to eat them. So for example, if someone had 33 cows and they put out 2 bags of mineral and it lasted 15 days, that means that 100 pounds of mineral were consumed by 33 cows. So that's 3 pounds each. Those 3 pounds lasted 15 days, which is 0.2 of a pound per cow. And 0.2 of a pound times 16 ounces is 3.2 ounces. You can then compare that figure to the ounce recommendation on the tag and see if you're even. For example, if that were a 3.5 ounce mineral, 3.2 ounces is very close to that. That's not a big discrepancy. And so that's pretty close because mineral intakes will fluctuate depending upon temperature and the forages that are available. I want to point out too that a trace mineral salt is not a complete vitamin mineral pack. Trace mineral salt is something that we end up selling a lot of because people ask for it, but I think it's in our best interest and the customer's best interest to be able to educate them that trace mineral salt is not a complete mineral. Trace mineral salt is exactly as the name implies. It contains some trace minerals that are present in the salt as it's mined, and that's what's left in there, and that's what gives you the trace minerals. What that amounts to then is there's very little calcium. There are traces of some of the micro minerals. You will never find any of the vitamins in a trace mineral salt, and it ends up being about 95% salt, 5% vitamins. And you can compare that to some of our products that are complete minerals that will be in the 20 to 25% salt range, and 75 to 80% minerals. So quite a difference there between trace mineral salt. In the Co-op mineral line, we've tried to make this simple and easy to understand. We have divided the line up into 4 segments. We have the pasture minerals, the high mag minerals, the special use or the medicated type minerals, and then fly control minerals. And they're color coded by bag to make it easier to keep up with what you're warehousing and what's going out to the customer. First of all, the green line, which would be the pasture minerals, and the items that are listed here are the ones that are on the A list or the available list. We have the Foundation Cattle Mineral, item 663, and this is the Supreme Cattle Mineral, item 678. In the orange or the High Mag products, we have the Foundation High Mag Mineral, item 675, and the Supreme High Mag Cattle Mineral, item 638. And when we feed and get 150 grams of intake, or about 5.3 ounces of intake of any of these Co-op High Mag minerals, we're getting 3 milligrams of selenium and 0.6 of an ounce of magnesium. That is plenty to prevent grass tetany. And the reason there's a higher feeding rate on the high mags is because it's less concentrated. Some of the nutrients, some of the ingredients that are used in making a high mag mineral product are not very palatable, and so we actually add some product there to some that make it more palatable and easier for the animals to consume. Red bag minerals are what we call the special use minerals. Those are the ones that require either some special attention or some mixing prior to use. The balancer minerals are designed to be mixed on farm with the farmer's grains. They're not recommended to be fed as a free choice type mineral. The foundation minerals with rumensin, auramycin. The other minerals that you see listed there, the ones with rumensin, auramycin, those are designed to be fed free choice. But you also need to note on the tag, there are some special limitations there as far as what type of animals can consume those. And finally, the blue line of minerals, the fly control, that'd be the Foundation IGR cattle minerals, the Supremes, and then we also have a pasture block with Raybon. All of those fly control minerals contain an oral larvicide that prevents the fly eggs from hatching out in the manure. They have no effect on the mature fly, so if somebody takes home a bag of fly control mineral and just starts feeding them for the first time, it'll take about 3 weeks before they begin to see a decrease in the number of flies. So if you have somebody just starting on a fly control mineral program, it's a good idea to send them home with a supplemental source of control, some type of spray or rub-on or a pour-on that will knock down the adult flies, and then that'll give a chance then for the fly control mineral to kick in and prevent any new ones from hatching out in the manure. So that's the Co-op line of minerals, a complete line, as we said, that's designed to fill the gap and meet the needs of cattle on forages in Tennessee. If you need further information, would like further education on this, please contact your local feed and animal health specialist. Thank you.